Shalom, shalom. I want to start by giving our praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kakadash. My name's Brother Napak from the Camp Prophets in Babylon, down here in Tempe, Florida. And I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. No one's listening in. And I want to get into a quick lesson. All right, just make it short because I'm on break right now. And this lesson is going to be titled, Why Do We Still Suffer Even Within This Truth or Within This Gospel? All right, why do we still suffer, And this is mainly for, younger Akim, brothers that's, just coming into the faith or, going through the first trials of hell and certain things. This is ultimately to edify and comfort you, all right? Because ultimately, that's a common question that comes to your mind once you first come into this truth, all right? But first, I want to get, this is Hebrews 12 and verse 8. I want to get in the NLT. It says, if Yahweh doesn't discipline you as he does all of his children, it means you are illegitimate and are not really his children at all. It says, since we respected our earthly fathers who disciplined us, shouldn't we submit even more to the discipline of the Father of our spirits and live forever? All right, so ultimately, that discipline, all right, you may catch hell and go through certain things, all right, and that's because ultimately you have, became, all right, of the Lord's flock, all right, you came into this truth, the Lord disciplined you as his children, which ultimately all of Israel is his children, but those children are children that, went astray. All right, but since we have came back, all right, from us going astray, now that focus and that chastisement and that suffering and those things that, are now put upon us, all right, from the Lord himself, and actually I want to jump up to verse 6. It says, for the Lord disciplines those he loves and punishes each one he accepts as his child. As you endure this divine discipline, remember that Yahweh is treating you as his own children. Who ever heard of a child who is never disciplined by its father? All right, so at the end of the day, the father always disciplines his child. All right, and us being the Lord's children, all right, the Lord will discipline you, and that discipline can go, be through suffering. All right, here in this captivity, we're still cursed. We still have those curses, man, that are upon us, all right? And through that discipline, all right, the Lord is ultimately, leading us to better lives, all right, in this truth, leading us to more disciplined lives, all right, to more spiritual lives, to gain closer to him, because through that discipline, you are able, all right, to receive correction from the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Understand it. It's either going to break you or make you. But once it makes you into the man you needed to be to fulfill the purpose that the Lord has set for you, all right, you're going to look back and you're going to see that this whole time the Lord was teaching you, the whole time the Lord was building you, all right, not breaking you, and it's not for the weak, So now that you're a part of the flock, now that you're a part of the ministry, all right, the Lord will discipline you because he loves you. The Lord will punish you because you're his child. All right, so there's still going to be suffering. There's still going to be hell. All right, that's why the scripture says, let's get that real quick. Ecclesiasticus 2. Ecclesiasticus 2 and verse 1, it says, my son, if you come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. All right, so ultimately, if you come in to serve the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, you must prepare your soul for that temptation, those trials, those times of being tested. All right, the Lord testing your faith, the Lord is testing you. All right, and ultimately that comes with suffering. Ultimately that comes with, catching hell, being put through certain trials that, you may not have been ready for or expected, or you feel like you wasn't ready for. All right, but once you're put in that fire, you're being prepared through it. You're being, prepped through it. All right, not before it, because if you anticipated the hell, if you anticipated, the affliction, you would have prepared for it. But nah, the Lord put that affliction upon you quickly. All right, where you had no time to prepare for it. Where ultimately, when you went through it within that fire, that's when you were preparing. That's when you were being refined. That's when you were, adjusting to the new environment that you were put in. All right. Whether you probably lost family members or you go through certain things, that will seem like the Lord may be judging you, but ultimately it's the Lord building you. All right. And that's something that Jake has to come to a understanding with. All right. Because if you can't, you're ultimately going to fall out because of the way that the Lord judges you, the way that the Lord disciplines you. All right. And afflict you. You may feel like it's the Lord, trying to send judgment upon you or, cut you off or, do away with you. But ultimately, it's just the Lord building you, bro. And you have to come to understanding and agreement with that mindset because ultimately, like I said, you will very well fall out. All right. And plus, another thing is we're not in the kingdom yet, man. We're not in our rest. All right. We're not in our rest. All right, let's get that real quick. No more sorrow. All right, we're not in that time of rest or you can just chill and, you ain't going to really go through much of anything anymore because ultimately we're still in captivity. We're still held under captive unto our oppressors, which is Esau, Edom. This is Revelation 21 and verse 4 says, and Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain. For the former things are passed away. And that's when, the Lord establishes the kingdom. The Lord comes back and take these devils out of their rulership and put in the righteous rulership. All right. Put in a righteous ruler, all right, which is Yahweh Shai. All right. But, the Lord's elect is going to be ruling with them. And all of Israel, you're going to, reap the benefits, all right, of being a part of Israel, being a part of the Lord's children, ultimately in that due time. And you will no longer have to feel that sorrow. You no longer have to, bear the death and the pain and the sorrow that comes with this world, man. Because you go through certain things, bro. Brothers have been through things that have traumatized them, man. All right, certain traumas, that hurt them. All right, but within that, all right, they ended up growing. They ended up coming closer to the Lord. They ended up being better for the Lord. All right, they ended up gaining experience, gaining XP points, man. All right, and that's because of the suffering that you go through, and that's why it's needed because you're being refined. All right, if you weren't receiving this affliction and this suffering, you would be a bastard, man. You'll be like these 2/3 Jakes with no father. All right? Just doing whatever, being as wicked as ever, being adding iniquity upon iniquity, just being in sin because you no longer have, or you don't have that father to chastise you. So you be seeing these niggas out of the world, it's like things just be falling upon them. Niggas just be, money just be falling upon niggas, man. All right, but riches are not commonly for a nigga, man. All right, so even with those things, those benefits, they gain those benefits. All right, Jake bugged themselves out, bro. Jake continue to be wicked, continue to serve this devil. All right, and ultimately they destroy themselves. Okay, they end up destroying themselves and becoming, more of a nigga. Okay. So it may seem like, Jake be getting in, Jake, all these different things, man. So our scripture says, envy not the wicked, man. All right, because the end is going to be in destruction. Let's get that real quick. All right. I had another scripture in my head, but, it just left. So instead, I'm just going to get this Proverbs 24. This is Proverbs chapter 24, verse 1. It says, be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. All right? For their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. All right? So don't be envious of these evil ass niggas, man. Of Esau, Edom, the things that they gain, and he's like, damn, bro, I'm doing the work of the Lord, and it's just like these niggas getting the blessings. All right? And that's where the patience comes in at. Because you got to suffer that out. You got to watch these niggas, that sin against the Lord, that disobeyed the Lord, or that come and mock and scoff against the Lord. You got to watch these niggas, get all different type of things fall onto their laps. And that's the humbling part about it. But those that are base, all right, shall be, abound. All right, shall be exalted. The Lord is going to bring the low to the high and the high to the low. Okay? It says, for their heart study of destruction and their lips talk of mischief. So these are the ways of the evil. All right? Their hearts, their minds study of destruction. All right? Give a nigga some money, he going to do some wicked things with that money to destroy himself. All right? To become more of a nigga. All right? And that's ultimately what they're doing to themselves. That's why, the Lord, okay, these are the things that Jake pray about, man. They seek, they need. All right, oh Lord, give me this, give me that, give me a whole bunch of money, and the Lord will answer their prayers. He'll give it to them. All right, the Lord bless them those things of the world, because that's what they want. They want to be of this world. So ultimately, the Lord allowed them to gain this world to lose themselves. All right, and once you lose yourself, once you lose your own soul, all right, your own spirit, you end up becoming coming into that day where you're going to have to be destroyed with this world, because you gained the world. You got it now. Now, since you're here with this world, you got this world, you're going to be destroyed with it. All right? But the men of the Lord, those brothers will be protected, because you have forsaken this world and the things of this world for the Lord. All right? So that's the reason why, even with this gospel, you still suffer, because you're being built into better men for the calling of your purpose. All right? This is not our rest. This is a time to serve the Lord. So you're going to have to go through certain things, and you're going to have to take it. And ultimately, you're going to be exalted, and you're going to be put up on high for the things that you have taken and, you have suffered. All right, so Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the hopeful elect and the ones listening in. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Once again, double honor to elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Shalom, Akim.